Yeah, folks, Quilly18 here, and welcome to Kerbal Moon Days. Something we haven't said in a little while. This is going to be the fourth stream of our current Kerbal run. On Wednesday, we're going to be doing something different. That doesn't mean we aren't going to be playing more Kerbal. That just means we're not going to be playing Kerbal on Wednesday specifically. Today, we are going to continue our mission from Saturday, or rather, the finish phase, maybe at this point, phase 3 of our mission from Saturday, and we are going to dock in orbit of Duna. Effectively, Mars is the plan today. We shall see if any of that will work out at all. Hey, you lovely people. Hope you had a great Wednesday. Kerbal Duna Day, rather. Yes, that's right, because we're not going to the moon today. Well, we might. We do have a mission to build a little space base on the moon, and we might dabble with that today. That is certainly a possibility, although we definitely need bigger fuel tanks to do that. Or really, it was bigger, like, well, two things. A larger crew compartment would be convenient, but also a larger liquid fuel tank container, because that's one of the requirements for the missions. It was going to be really awkward to do it with, we just have the 1.25 meter fuel tanks, so we'll see what we can do. So yes, today it is Monday. Did I say Wednesday? It's Kerbal Moon Days. And then on Wednesday, we're going to be playing Little Problems. It is a little detective game that I've been excited to try, and it comes out tomorrow, technically. I've had it for a little while, but it was embargoed, and I haven't played it because it's a story-based game. I was waiting to play it as part of our continuation of some of those cute, cozy ones. So Wednesday, we'll try Little Problems. Today, it's going to be Kerbal Moon Days, and then Saturday, question mark, what goes on, what we continue, we shall see. Alrighty. It's actually Tuesday morning. Also, some of us. Time zones are weird. Show mod folder? No, that would be inconvenient, but the mod list is basically in the description, or the what game, more or less in there. Dwarf Fortress, we are really overdue some Dwarf Fortress. Really overdue. Anyway, let's go and talk about this mission over here. Boop. So, last episode, we sent a mission to Duna, and it went perfectly with no problems whatsoever. We landed on the surface of Duna, i.e. Mars, and then we took off. Now, the Duna lander was never meant to return all the way back to Kerbin, back to Earth, but we did design it to land via parachutes, although we did use a little bit of a powered like thruster thing right at the end to try to land more softly, which worked great. We landed perfectly softly on a very steep slope, which was fine. It was fine. We didn't fall over. Then we didn't get physics glitches when we did some physics warping that caused the ship to suddenly decide to go on a journey down the hill out of nowhere. It was fine. We didn't have any of those problems. Anyway, but we did manage to take off. In fact, we did it twice. The first time took off fine, and then we realized, I can't remember what it was, but there was something that we needed to adjust. Oh yeah, we had moved the landing gear, and even though it let us board the ship, like we could open the door and walk into the ship, we then couldn't open the door to leave the ship again, which is weird, and to me counted as a bug. Either the door works or it doesn't work. It shouldn't be one or the other. So we had to revert, move the landing gear, and then that launch, we got it again, but it took a couple of tries. It was like, oh man, it worked great the first time. And then, of course, when we did a reload, because we ran into a bug, it worked less good after that. That's the way she goes. Hey, Cool Man! Cool Man says, why don't we have a space station? Well, we kind of are, actually, in a second. Cool Man also says, and I'm the Duke of Sight Dwarf in Dwarf Fortress, keeping the forgotten beast from a wider world. I think we are really overdue for Dwarf Fortress. It's got to have been a year or something, right? Something like that. Launch a little while, its hovering is a bit clutch. Yeah, just, it's Kerbal and inconsistent physics, name a more iconic pair. And that's the funny thing with, like, stuff like Kerbal Space Programmer 2, we weren't going to complain about weird, twitchy physics. We just wanted the gameplay to be good and, to have more than 12 frames per second. Anywho, we are currently piloting this Psi Orbiter module, which, well, piloting is interesting because this module here doesn't actually have a pilot. Now, normally I make it a rule with my missions that I try not to cheese things Because the cheesy thing is you just load up a scientist and then use a probe core to do your SAS, or you just use MechJeb to do it for you. And then you have a scientist who can reset experiments. But I say, as a general rule, as a personal rule, my missions always need a pilot. I made an exception to this because what we're doing is we're explicitly not manually piloting this ship at all. We are trying to only use automated tools to do it as much as possible because this thing is being run by a computer is the idea. Now, we did send a scientist with this mission, but he ain't supposed to do nothing. We just sent a scientist in here because we're ultimately going to need 2 scientists inside the mobile processing lab. There's already one waiting for us at Duna, because the Duna mission we sent a pilot, a scientist, and an engineer, the full mission. Here, Eastern Spirit is just a passenger doing absolutely nothing, and we're trying to use computerized tools to maneuver this flight. And those are 2 really interesting challenges. Sometimes doing stuff manually is more of a challenge. Sometimes doing things more automated is more of a challenge. And so we did this combined Duna mission of 2 ships is basically both. We did one that was very highly manual and one that is very highly automated. Anyway, we are currently on course to get to Duna. Now, what we want to do is we do want a rendezvous with the ship that's currently in orbit. Now, currently our periapsis is quite high, and I was tempted to be like, well, maybe what I should do is tweak my orbit right now to drop the periapsis to be in line over here. But the problem with that is, like, we don't need to perfectly match orbit with our target right now, because ultimately we want a differing orbit, because we are going to have to rendezvous. If we magically end up in exactly the same orbit, or even, let's say I put my periapsis exactly where it should be, that's basically where we're going to want to do the encounter. And then what we do is we leave some of our orbit a little elliptical so that we're out of sync with this lander. And at some point, the 2 of us will end up at the same place at the same time, but it might take a while. Maybe it still makes more sense to do that, because then what I can do, now maybe it does make sense, because if I match the periapsis, and then what we do is we do a retrograde burn at that point. As we do the retrograde burn and shrink the rest of our orbit, at some point, the timing will work out that, because we're doing a retrograde, we'll do a retrograde at the periapsis. So we move the periapsis to here. We wait till a ship arrives at the periapsis. We do the retrograde burn. And at some point, what'll happen is our orbit will be exactly the right size, such that on our next loop around, we will perfectly encounter this lander. I guess I should probably do that. Now, we can just eyeball this, right? The only question, no, I can't do it manually. The easiest thing to do would be to find the right, are we doing retrograde? Are we doing radial? Are we doing anti-radial? Any of those things right now to lower the periapsis. Well, to bring the periapsis closer to Duna. And the easiest thing to do would be find the right direction for that and just do little micro burns manually. But we're not allowed, I'm not allowing myself to do manual adjustments over here. So we are going to have to plan a maneuver to do this. So, this is our track over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plop a maneuver down on there. So right now it's 1 day away. Okay, we can probably be a little closer there, about 2 hours away. We'll add a maneuver. And then the problem is, what I need to do is I need to look here while tweaking those things over there, which might be a little hard. It's going to be fine if all I have to do is radial and anti-radial here. But if I do have to do any prograde or retrograde, I really can't do that manually. But that's okay. What we'll do is we'll bring up the maneuver node editor so that we can just use this buttons instead of trying to drag that stupid thing, which might be a little awkward. So we're going to see what happens. Let me set this to 1 delta V change. It's also quite nice because we can actually, I can change angles here because we're clearly going to have to be a little higher up. So what happens if I go negative radial? What the frack? Okay. We might want to wait until we're a little closer to Duna, because right now it's taking so little thrust to make a change that it might not actually be possible to do this accurate of a burn. But let's see. And then if I go normal plus, oh my God. I mean, it would literally be impossible for me to go and do this manually. Absolutely impossible for me to do this manually. I'm not actually sure that we're going to have the finesse to do this even in an automated thing. So it won't surprise me if what we're going to want to do is another one of these burns a little closer to Duna, which is going to require more delta V. Because the further away you do this, the bigger the change later on, right? A tiny change now has a huge impact later on. If we wait to do the change closer, then we need to do a bigger change to have the same result, which is less fuel efficient, but honestly might be the only way we can do it. I think we are going to have to do an inclination burn once we get there, but at least, okay, that looks, our periapsis marker kind of looks like it's going to be touching that, which is great. But this is a 0.5 meter per second burn. Let's see how good the automation can do it from this position. And then assuming we'll probably need to fine tune, I'm going to wait until we're quite a bit closer to Duna, and then we'll do this again. Yeah, I think the maneuver, the automatic execution, I think it automatically does fine tuning of the thrust for us. I don't think we have to derate the engine for the automated execution. If I was doing it by hand, I would derate it. At this point, like, it's so much that, yeah, if the Kerbal, what's his name? Spirit, whatever. I don't have it on the screen here. If he so much as farts in the capsule, it's going to redirect it. But let's see what happens. You know, for fun and science. Eastern Spirit, that's what it is. So you're going to reorientate yourself. This does turn faster. We do have a big old reaction wheel on this, so it's quite a bit more maneuverable here. It's going to lock onto the maneuver facing, and then it's going to time warp to the position, and then it's going to go for the burn. Ooh. Yeah, okay, that's a good point, Halko. Is there any chance we're going the wrong way around? No, I think it's fine. The thick line is where it came from, right? And I'm assuming, I think we're coming from here. Yes. So I think we are going to be orbiting the right way. Oh yeah, yeah, and you can quite clearly see, yes. But that was a good point, Halko. Because if we were coming at it from the opposite direction, that would be bad. And what we would want to do is move our periapsis to the opposite side over here. All right, time warp is done. Here's the maneuver. How precise is it? Again, I'm totally hands off here. Okay. All right, that's not bad. It's still, like, it could be a little scooch closer, but I'm not going to do the fine tune over here. Oh, wait. Wait, are we coming from over here? That's the escape from Duna? Oh, you're right. Okay. All right, no problem. Then, I mean, we basically wasted no delta V, but we're going to have to correct it now. So we need to go back to our cells. I need to plan another one of these very inexpensive maneuvers to go here. And basically, we didn't waste that because we were already pushing our periapsis in the correct direction. We just needed to go a little bit more than we did. So we will focus our view again. So, yeah, okay, so that is the escape. So we're coming in here and leaving there. So what we need to do is we need to be over here instead. So a little bit of anti-radial. Suppose I could have tweaked the number a little bit to save myself a few clicks here, as it turns out. Okay, well that is fine. It's not on the opposite side of Duna. But yeah, there we go. Okay. We can confirm we're now going to be coming this way and doing that, which will encounter successfully. Let me switch back to the tiny little tweaks. Let me put in a little bit of normal plus. Yeah, we're almost certainly going to have to do a fine-tuning burn because it's not going to be precise enough here. Yeah, even this, the 0.01 change is too much, but that's okay. All right, execute this burn. This is like the Martian with intercept distance and speed. Can't wait for the bomb. Yeah. And then are we going to do the Iron Man thing after? That is something... The ending of the Martian, and sorry, I hope this is not a spoiler for anyone, just is something that annoys me as someone who read the book first. Now, I don't want to be one of these people, I read the book first. But in the book, they bring up doing the Iron Man thing and then dismiss it because that is stupid. It's been a while since I read the book, so I hope I don't remember it wrong. But I'm pretty sure they bring it up, and they're like, no, that's stupid, we're not going to do it. And then the movie, they bring it up, they say that's stupid, and then they do it anyway. Like, no, you said it was stupid. You told us it was stupid. But it's a movie. It had to have an even more ridiculous ending. And there's a few others in there. I mean, plenty of changes. I'm like, okay, you know what? We probably couldn't go and show the entire trip from the outpost to the launch rocket, right? Like, okay, that's fair. At a certain point, you got to cut some stuff out from a book to make a movie, sure. But then adding stupidity. Look how they call the Iron Man thing. That's what they call it in the freaking book/movie. If it works, it's not stupid. Yeah, but it shouldn't have worked. All right, we're gonna quick save here because what we're gonna do is we're gonna time warp to much closer to Duna, so that we can do another corrective burn. Still, we're still gonna be pretty far out. Far out, dude. So it's still gonna be a cheap burn, but we'll have a little bit more control. Technically, it'll use a slightly more delta V to do it, but we can fine-tune it with a bit more precision. Tell us how you really feel. Well, I don't know if this, like, I don't think The Martian counts as like a sacred movie. I've got some other things I could say about certain movies that people find sacred, and then, like, whenever I say it, people get really upset. All right, so yeah, that's back there. Oh, I forgot. I've got to. Oh, can I even set a maneuver? I guess with the focus, I can't. Okay. That's fine. Let's set a maneuver for about an hour away, but then do the thing where we focus view, and then now our ticks should do a lot less. I mean, it's still taking very little to make a pretty big change, actually. All right, that's kind of on there. I mean, I could confirm. I could go to this lander, figure out what its orbital thing is, and then compare, but I mean, that's pretty darn good. Again, so we're going to have to do an inclination change, but I think that's pretty swell. So 0.07 delta V burn. Honestly, oh, it didn't even execute it. It's too small. It's too small of a burn. I mean, frankly, at this point, I can just do... We could even wait until we're in the orbit and make the adjustment over there. That might even be better. We might get a little bit more clarity about things. It looks gonna... Honestly, we are going to get an encounter with this regardless. Because there's going to be some crossover in our orbit somewhere. So maybe it is fine. All right, let's quick save. And big time warp. It'll automatically de-time warp us as we get to the transition point here. But yeah, so we're ahead of Duna. That's why I was a little bit backwards in my thing, because I'm thinking, well, we're going to get to Duna, but we're kind of ahead of Duna. It's catching up to us in a certain way here. Time to fart, people. Yeah. Or spit. Just get out and spit. That'll get the ship where we're going. Okay, did we... Oh, what? Interesting. Oh! Like, why is it going down to 0? When we do a transition, it only ever brings it to times 50. It's so funny. We're so zoomed out here, we can't see Duna, so it just looks like our orbit has a weird kink in it. And I mean, we're not here to kink shame. One science thing just did an EVA report. I mean, we'll grab it. I think it'll be redundant with some things, but we can grab it and then shove it in our lab right away. That's going to be okay. In fact, our lab might be ready to transmit some science. It has spent some time in here. Oh, was it not researching? Did it not maintain that between restarting the save? Because we should have crunched a bunch of science by now. I thought I started that. In fact, I'm sure I started that last stream. I wonder if it stops if I EVA, if there's no scientist there. Okay, I don't like that this is spinning. Okay, that's okay, because I can square brackets. There's a probe core on here, so I can turn on SAS to stop it from spinning. Then use the square brackets to pop back outside the ship. I wish it wasn't wibble wobbling like this, because I have to let go for a second here. There you go. Run the science experiment. Let's go nuts. Whee! Grab board. Review data. Add it to the science lab. Add it to the science lab. Okay. And then, I guess, yeah, we can EVA again, because these could be transmitted instead. Let go. Science experiment. Let go. All right. You spin me right round, baby, right round. What happens if you throw up inside the suit? That's got to be awful. Woo! There you go. Thruster, stabilize, stabilize. Good job. All right. So we're getting a second copy of it. We're not going to be able to add it to the lab. I think that button will be grayed out, but we can transmit it. Grab. And board. And review. See, there you go. Can't add it to the lab because it's already there, but we can transmit it for 100%. Good. And transmit. Good stuff. Okay. So, again, if I wanted to find... Oh, this is so... I can't change the focus of the view anymore. Also, can I not see the orbit of the other ship? Or set a target on it? Let me focus on Ike. I can't focus on Duna. There it is. Just too far away. So now, no, not add maneuver. I want to target this ship. There it is. It was too close to my blue line, so it was getting confused. Okay, so we can explicitly set this as a target now. So that's its periapsis and our blue. But yeah, our line's pretty darn close. And is going to crisscross. You know what? It's going to be fine. We'll just get to our periapsis. What we'll probably do is do one retro burn just to establish any kind of orbit. It can be big. We'll probably make it so that it's within Ike, or Ike, if you prefer, just so that we don't have to worry about an accidental encounter with that. So we'll bring our apoapsis to just inside this gray line, which is still going to be huge. Then what we'll do is do the inclination change. You want to do the inclination change with as big an orbit as possible. Ideally, we'd do it even before circularizing. Well, no, we're not circularizing. We're just not escaping, because that would be the cheapest, but I think it'll still be really inexpensive. Oh, you think it's within the atmosphere? Oh, you're right! Oh, that is lower than expected. Okay, we'll tell you what then. We'll just go orbital, radial out. I mean, I could plan a maneuver, but you know, we'll use these buttons. I'll just activate the thrusters manually for this one, just to save us about 30 seconds of me faffing around with little sliders. I mean, we could use this because it's fairly low. Like it's fairly high in the thin atmosphere. We could probably pass through this without burning up because it's thin, and it would help slow us down and save a little bit of fuel, but it's going to be okay. So what I'm doing is I'm burning radial out so that basically we're burning towards the right from this point of view. It's just going to push, just going to nudge this blue line outwards. So it should raid the periapsis. There we go. Now, what is our target's periapsis? 55. Okay, and we're at 53. Okay, there we go. This is going to be fine. So we're no longer touching the atmosphere. I'm going to quick save before a big time warp. Yes, we can circularize MechJeb module set an altitude. In fact, I suppose that's what we should do, right? Because I was going to time warp and then plan a maneuver. And I mean, planning the maneuver and having this execute the maneuver is still relatively automated. But you're right, we should do it more automated. Ike's got an altitude of 2.8 million. So if we do a maneuver planner to circularize at the next periapsis. Oh no, not circularize. Change apoapsis. So the next apoapsis, this is in kilometers. So let's say something like 2,500 kilometers. So that'll put us inside the orbit of Ike. We're going to create node, visualize. Yep, that seems okay to me. Now, here's the thing. I can use this to actually plan the rendezvous completely. And we might. Okay, the research lab's not running. I'm guessing the research lab stops running when we eject the Kerbal. I bet you it needs one Kerbal in there for it to run. That's probably it. So yeah, again, I could get this to plan everything, but I kind of still want to acknowledge a few of the step-by-steps. Ooh, baby. Sorry. Some phrases just trigger certain songs. And I know the new kids on the block aren't necessarily everyone's cup of tea, but it's still there. All right, let's go. Have we lost any Kerbals yet? Yes, we did lose one Kerbal early on to a burn up on re-entry, despite having a heat shield, I think. Yeah, we already have a pretty good rendezvous with this, and it's nice to get the... so, like, we're still going to use the computer, because, again, this is a ship that doesn't have a pilot. We can still pilot it manually, but I'm going to pretend it's the probe core doing it. So we're going to let the probe core execute the maneuvers, except for that one little nudge I didn't now. But we're still going to prove that we understand the science of the rendezvous. Doorbell just rang. Oh, that's probably my new smoke detector. Ooh, how exciting. Okay, I kind of do want to do the EVA report right now because there's probably EVA report at a different, for different biomes and things that we probably already have a copy of, but more copies are better because we can just transmit the extras. But I'm not going to EVA right now while we're doing the burn because I don't know. What's our thrust to weight ratio here? I don't have, oh no, right there. 2.75. Okay, nearly 3G. I'm not sure Eastern Spirit's going to be able to hold on to the ladder well enough on 3G. Technically, we know exactly where that missing Kerbal is because, in fact, they respawn. Because I hadn't realized I didn't realize that the non-orange Kerbals did also respawn. So they respawned after 2 hours, and then we fired them. We don't want any zombie astronauts. This is all hands-free. There you go. Now we have all the time in the world to think about what we want to do. Right, since we're not running any life support mods. I'm theoretically not running any mods that change gameplay, although obviously MechJeb adds some automation, but the core gameplay is still exactly the same. So Eastern Spirit, we're going to get you to do another... let's turn on the SAS for a second. This is also going to probably reset the lab, although at this point we should have... We got a little bit of science in there. Anyway, let's EVA. Oh yeah, research stopped, no scientist present. Now I noticed it! Hey! It took a while. I think when I'm not primarily controlling it, I think the SAS is like a little more wobbly. Let's get this EVA report. Let go. EVA science report. Time to drop another wing nut. Whee! We just whacked our head. It's fine. Just a little bit of a concussion. It's okay. Concussions are fine, right? On television shows, people get like knocked on their heads and get knocked out all the time, and they're fine. So they're probably not a serious deal, right? Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, of all the things to complain about, like television realism, that's pretty petty, but still. Okay, that's another 1,000. So it's 219 data. Once it gets processed in the lab, it'll be worth 1,100 science. So we're going to load that in there. We're going to load that in there. Then we're going to do another EVA, which actually might be a different biome because it popped up before I went and submitted that, so I'm not sure. Oh, let go. Spin. I don't like that we're kind of moving away. It's fine. Grab that. The experiment is probably a dupe. Review. Yeah, so this is a dupe. So I'm going to transmit that. But it is a different EVA. So I'm going to move that into this bin. And then I think we might have yet another biome change. Okay, it's definitely not giving me the experiment because we have completed that. But that is a fresh biome. So review, add it to the lab, EVA again, pick it up, grab it, reboard, review the one data, transmit for some science now. There you go. No EVA. Now, we might get another EVA report as we go through some more biomes, but let's figure out what our next plan now. So now our next plan, well, really, EVA, collect, board, hang on, review, transmit. I think this is going to go away. Okay. So really our next plan is just to do the rendezvous. We could go and match inclination. The thing is, I don't think we're too far off. Okay, we're here and rising right now. Our ascending and descending node spot is right around here. So really, I mean, the next one's going to be the ascending node. 2.6 degrees off. It would be nice to maybe fix this. Restart. We're not spending that much time in here. I'm not going to worry about the science because we're going to have to keep resetting it anyway. So we'll just wait a tick. So at either the ascending or descending node, we want to go and match inclination with this Duna lander. We're not that far off. Honestly, it's not going to be a make or break one way or the other, but let's make the best effort. So what we do, if we were doing this manually, like we can go and plan a maneuver, right? So over the ascending node, what I want to do is I want to descend through it to counter that by burning anti-normal in this case.
Second Terra Invicta series.
Hey!
Really enjoying it.
I want to say camion, like a truck. I don't know if that's how you pronounce your name there, or it's more like camion. So I apologize for that. But thank you very much for the contribution. And the second. I'm loving this Terra Invicta series so much. And it's the same thing as last time. I finished the first one, and immediately I wanted to play another one. Plus, I want to play a side campaign just on my own. But they're so long that I can't justify it. Oh, also, we barely have a signal. It's a good thing our probe's still working right now. That is less than great. Explain like it's 5 Terra Invicta. So if you're not watching Terra Invicta series, Terra Invicta is like a Paradox Grand Strategy game, like Europa and Victoria and Hearts of Iron and all those things, but it's not made by Paradox. It's made by the same people who made the XCOM Long War mod. And it's basically XCOM Long War, the Grand Strategy game. It starts off very political on Earth. And, oh, by the way, there's aliens that are coming and invading us and infesting us. Starts off very political on Earth. Then you expand out, take some space stuff, and then you build a bunch of spaceship, and then turns into this epic space battle thing. You start off feeling like the modern day Hearts of Iron 4, and you end up, and at the end of it, you feel like we're on the cusp of playing Stellaris. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's marvelous. Anyway, the one thing I was going to say here, when we're planning this, so again, basically, if we're at the ascending node, we want to burn downwards, in this case, which would be anti-normal. Or if you're doing a descending, then you're burning normal. Same, either way. The problem is if you do it with the maneuver plan, you'll notice that, and it's not really evident here because it's just 7 meter per second delta V, but if I were to exaggerate this to beyond when we need, you'll notice like our orbit actually gets bigger. And the problem is that the normal marker here is orientated based on the normal direction, like when you just initially set up the maneuver. It's not a dynamic thing. It's actually much easier for you to match inclinations to do it manually. What you would do is you would just point to the anti-radial marker. Sorry, anti-normal marker, not radial. Anti-normal. So, well, again, here, this is the ascending node, so I want to go down, so I want to go anti-normal over here. Just point your ship towards this and lock it if you can, either through your normal SAS or if you're using smartass like I am, whichever, it doesn't matter. And then do the burn. Get to the node, do the burn, because this marker will sort of shift as you make the move, and it's much better, because then you don't end up adding or reducing to your orbit. That's if we're doing, so the best thing to do would be by hand, because planning a maneuver does not work very well, which is not great for us, because I don't want to do a manual burn for this ship. Normally when I'm doing this, I do it perfectly manual, but I'm trying to avoid that. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use a maneuver planner, use the maneuver planner, and I'm going to do match planes with target, which is just going to be us. So it's going to schedule burn at the cheapest ascending or descending node with the target, which is going to be over here because it's cheaper the furthest away you are orbital. And it's going to do the maneuver that I was basically going to do, but it's, again, the manual plan maneuver is kind of awkward. It's much easier to do a full just manual burn without a maneuver. But yeah, this looks good. So we're going to go, so I've already created it, so I'm going to tell it to execute the next node. Well, actually, tell you what, because there's going to be a big time warp, I will start research, execute next node. Now, we might go and abort that if we get another biome thing here. Although, honestly, at some point, just by doing orbits, we're going to hit the other biomes later once we do the rendezvous. So I don't have to stress about getting all that science now. And you can see our ship is basically pointing straight down, which is exactly what we want, because when we reach the ascending node point over here, it's the point at which we're crossing the plane of the other ship going upwards, right? You can see our blue line from here is going upwards, and we want to bring it down and flat, which is what this is. 7 meter per second burn is nothing, and the larger your orbit is, the cheaper this is. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to plan an encounter. And I think the way we would do it, one thing to always remember when you're thinking about orbital mechanics is wherever you are now, when you do a burn, that part of your orbit isn't going to change. No matter what kind of crazy shit we do right here, the blue line right where we are is going to stay there. We're changing every other part of the blue line, but where we are now doesn't change. And the best way to think of that is we're not changing our situation in the present, we're changing our situation in the future, but orbits are a loop, so they're always returning to the present. So whatever you're doing as your burn doesn't change. So what we want to kind of plan for this is what part of our orbit are we the most happy about when it comes time to meeting this ship? Well, we want to meet this ship, like the part of our orbit that basically matches this other ship which is right over here. It's actually kind of tricky to zoom because of the distances involved. This part of our orbit is the part we're the happiest and that we don't want to change. So there might be like a more, maybe around here could be the most optimal. Let's say I add a maneuver right over there. So I don't want to change that part of our blue line. And all I want to do here is get to the point where we have an encounter by just doing some slight change to our orbit over here. Ultimately, we're going to want to do a retrograde burn because ultimately we have to slow down. We're going much faster because we have a bigger orbit than our target ship. So we could rendezvous, maybe even by doing a prograde, by accelerating. And no matter what, we're not going to encounter on this orbit. Where I do the maneuver, again, we're not changing. What we're doing is we're tweaking our orbit so that on the next pass, we do our rendezvous. And we'd like to remove as much energy as possible. So all we were doing is a retrograde burn. I might have missed it there. Oops. This is happening so fast. You can do finer tunes with the mouse wheel. There you go. See these two pink markers? See how close they are? That's exactly what we're trying to accomplish. And again, I could go into the maneuver node editor over here and do like super fine tunes. If I go and right click over here, we can see I'm 8 kilometers apart, 5, 2.5. I'm 300 meters apart, which I'm going to call good enough because I don't actually want to go and smack into the other ship. I need some time to like slow down and match orbit. Again, we could use the maneuver planner to pre-calculate it for us, but it feels good to feel like, okay, I understand the orbital mechanics. So we're going to wait until we come over here. Then we're going to do 10 meters per second retrograde burn. And then we're going to continue on our merry way. And the next time we come around, okay, 2 times when we come around. Because the orange one is the next one, the pink one is 2 times away. Honestly, since I have to do a big retrograde burn to match orbit anyway, maybe I should just keep burning retro until we get an encounter with the pink. So it's coming around now. Ooh, that's awfully close. Let's go a little fine tune. So, no, wait. I'm doing it again, isn't it? Yeah. Silly me. Not the pink, the orange. Oh, now this is one issue over here. When you double click, it clears targets. So if I click here too fast, it actually clears my target. Oh, no, I'm being dumb. We can't, I was thinking, oh, 2 orbits away is further away than we need. No. 1 orbit away is the one that we can't possibly encounter at, no matter what we do. So it is the pink one that I'm looking for, because 1 intersect away is just this orbit, and obviously I can't match. Well, that's not entirely true. I could do a thing, but there you go. 0.3 kilometers away. Done. Execute. Yeah. I was like, why isn't the orange ones moving? Because the orange is this orbit. And I cannot rendezvous on this orbit. I don't know why I like mispronouncing rendezvous so much. I think there's something about French words that it's like I want to over-exaggerate the mispronunciation for. Utgard said they love Duna. It's their favorite planet in KSP. Nice. It is very pretty. What are we... Oh! I didn't realize we're still zoomed in on Ike. That wouldn't have really changed our awkwardness over here, but maybe a little. All right, so that's us. And yeah, see, when we're hitting this orange marker, the other ship will be at that orange marker on this orbit, and that was unavoidable. And burn done. Yeah, so because the burn's not perfect, we still have a separation over here. And because it was such a delicate little maneuver. Oh, and see, now that we've passed the orange marker, now these are fixed, because this is the next one now. And then there's going to be that. We could do another corrective burn. We could always use, it's worth noting, in MechJeb, there is an option for fine-tune closest approach to target. We could just do another little, it's so delicate is the issue right now, but I could also make a little adjustment even on this orbit over here. Although it would have to be microscopic. 100 meters per second relative velocity in con. Yo, that's fine. That's anticipated. We're gonna have to do a we're gonna have to go to target mode and burn retrograde relative to the target. We don't have a signal. Are we eclipsed? No. Is Ike blocking it? Which is going to be fine on the next orbit. Yeah, I think we're being eclipsed by... I mean, our signal is weak, admittedly. But yeah, okay. So let's add a little maneuver here just so that we can go and tweak... Ideally, the orange. This is this orbit. Intersection, we're now 27 kilometers away. There we go. It's still such a small burn. Woo, 0. I'm a little bit worried about the 0, but honestly, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to manage an exact 1.5 meter per second delta V change. So we'll do that and we'll see what our separation is. I think it's going to be close enough. As long as it's under 1 kilometer, I'm going to be fine. Because at that point, we just changed to like more of an eyeball mode. Yeah, we didn't set up our ComSat array. We could have put a polar satellite in orbit over here with a bunch more relays. Although that's kind of what our ship is. I was going to say we got 2 antennas, although only one of them I think is a relay. Here comes the burn. Feel the burn. Our periapsis is now within the atmosphere. Although that'll be fine, because again, we'll correct it over there. Okay, that's fine. We're going to be 600 meters apart. I'm totally okay with this. Are the antennas extended? So this one doesn't extend. This one does extend. Although, I don't... It's combinable, but I don't think that one's a relay. So I guess it doesn't matter. But it's also weaker, right? This is weaker. If I just pack 2 of these, and I don't know why I didn't just pack 2 of those. Oh, wait, no, they're both 2Gs. So I don't know. Okay, I thought this was a 5G one. All right, let's focus on us. So yes, we'll be pretty darn close. So I'm going to change myself to target mode, because what we're going to want to do somewhere over here, we need to do a burn that puts us in a matching orbit with the Duna lander. Now, mostly that's going to be a lot of retrograde burn to close that retrograde relative to Duna. But really, as long as we bring our target velocity compared to the target, if we bring that down to 0, then we're going to be in the exact same orbit as this thing. And we know this thing's in a stable orbit, so that's going to be cool. So we'll do a big quick save. I'm going to time warp to here to get closer. It's still going to be pretty far away. If we lose our signal, then we may have to wait for... No, but we're fine. Ike's on the other side now. And we're going to rendezvous not eclipsed. Perfect. Okay. Groovy. Quick save. And I don't know. See, with add a maneuver, it would be great to change this nav ball to relative to the target, but we would have to know... But it'd have to be relative to target on there. I might have to do this one manually, even though I said I want to do as much automated as possible. Well, okay. I guess what I could do is... there's probably a maneuver node planner to like match things, but no, I'll just do this one manually. Tough patooties. So relative to the target, we're going retrograde. I could also do it this way. Target minus over here. This is retrograde relative to the target, which is all we're looking for. And this, you can see here, the distance, the speed between us is getting a little closer. But you can see we're dropping below because we're not in a perfect thing, but that's okay. The ideal would have been to match our periapses on top of one another, like here, like have it there, because that would be a little less goofy looking, but it's going to be fine. Do it with the piloted ship? Maybe. I mean, we'd have to go and make this one circular first and then do it in the other ship to match, but I'm going to go with this. So, I'm going to warp to here. I mean, if we end up having signal problems, then yeah, we just put the science orbiter in a reasonable orbit. There you go. Very close. And so target, Oh, retrograde burn. Actually, I'll do this because it won't lose. Ah, shite. I missed the window here because I wasn't doing this right time. Why are you turning that way? That's not... Oh, shit. I hit the wrong control node here. I was facing away from the target instead of facing retrograde to it. All right, that's fine. Well, there's nothing, then it's okay. Let me start the burn because it'll help us redirect it faster. We're kind of far apart, which I don't love. Oh, I could just reload. You know what? You're right. Just reload. Just so we don't have to waste a bunch of time. So this time, correctly, it's going to be relative to... So again, I would have done it right. If I was doing SAS retrograde here, it would have been fine. I just hit the wrong button on the smartass. See, because we want it... Exactly. We want this. We want to see the retrograde marker in the target nav ball. That's exactly what we're looking for. So I don't know how long of a burn this is going to take. When I do this, I bet you we're going to grow the separation. Oh, no, it's shrinking. And then it's probably going to start growing. Hold on. Yeah. This isn't going to take that long of a burn. Maybe I'll do it 30 seconds left. I think we're... Separation's staying about the same, which is nice. And what you'll see is our blue line will match this yellow line by the time we're done this. 138 meter per second delta V difference. "20 seconds to closest intercept. Relative speed going down, 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 down. I just don't want to see the separation increase. Good. We're going to be 500 meters apart. And parked more or less next to each other. And not actually hitting each other, which is the important thing. Right? The separation gets too low. Not that I've ever accidentally slammed into another ship before. I mean, how ridiculous would that be? I could do a slow burn here, but tend to prefer... because I can't always... If I'm doing slow burn, sometimes I miss that something is changing. Oh, separation's increasing a little, but that's going to have to be fine. Although, the closest I do this stop, the better. All right, now we'll do the slow burn. Bring us to rest relative to the other vessel. Now, because we've got a little bit of separation, we're not in the perfect exact same orbit. But it's pretty darn close. All right. And in theory, our target... Hey, here's our target! Hey! Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to quick save before I F up again. What we're going to do is we're going to face our target, which we can do manually, because when you're in target mode, you do get a marker. This pink marker, that was showing that we're facing away from the target. And if I come to the other side and wiggle my butt, wiggle, 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 that's facing the target mode. Now, presumably I have to open this up. Arm. And we'll control from here. It shouldn't technically be necessary because it's all on the same line. But by doing this, it just makes sure that all of our maneuvers are relative to that thing. That looks like violent. Sure, it's okay. Now, if this dock doesn't work, part of it was we can just get out and just transfer the science manually. But, so if we're aligned here to the purple marker, that means we're facing the target. And we can actually see our retrograde marker. Now, wherever we burn, that's where the retrograde marker is going to go. So we can actually drag the retrograde marker. So let's say I go something like this. I'll be burning towards it, but slightly offset, but I'm going to drag the retrograde. So now, when the retrograde is on the pink like this, I'm currently heading directly towards the target. We're closing at 1 meter per second. So in 600 seconds, 10 minutes, we'll reach there. So rather than doing more burn to accelerate it, let's just time warp. We can be patient. The speed relative to the target will shift a little just because we're in slightly different orbits. And you can see here, we're no longer going directly to the target, which might be fine. I might want to not accidentally hit the target, but let's go. And we're adding some speed. So now we're closing at 2 meters per second. I've also got the RCS I could be using for these fine maneuvers, but let's see if we don't need it. So we're mostly going towards it. And if I'm worried, what I could do is I can flip around to the other side. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Shake that booty. Shake that booty. And I like to think of it this way. Whereas with the retrograde, wherever you burn, you pull the retrograde to your marker. With the prograde marker, wherever you burn, you push it away. So if I want to put the retrograde marker on top of the pink marker, which would show that we are moving still directly towards the target, what I'd want to do is a burn something like this, or even further off, like this way. Because this is going to push the yellow marker onto the pink to make sure we're still going straight forward, while also bleeding off a little bit of my speed moving towards the ship. Now, I don't need to panic because we're still fairly far away. I do have RCS. I can totally use RCS. It's not on right now. And I could turn it on just to help me turn a little faster rather than just using the reaction wheel. But I'm going to try to see if we can do it without RCS, just to show you can totally do it. All right, let's go and time warp a little. Get a little closer. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to burn a little here. Whoa! I forgot I should be doing a single shift. In fact, it might be time to derate this engine. Let's do that. Let's bring it down to like a fifth. There we go. Now, we're still moving towards the target. Although, yeah, I've pushed the retrograde marker too far over that way. So again, you push the retrograde marker away from you. Let's just do a little shift and stop. Now, I might be burning a little too much speed off here. In fact, I'm just going to suggest that we are, because I could burn a little bit more retrograde to continue to align ourselves, but I might just accidentally stop our relative motion, which isn't what I'm looking for. Now, the reason we'd want to use the RCS is so that I don't have to keep twisting around like this to make the match. But let's say, again, wherever I burn, I'm pulling the prograde towards me. So let's say I do a little of this with one tap of shift. There you go. We're accelerating towards the ship a little, but mostly I was arranging this. There we go. So kind of bang on. We're heading directly towards the vessel. And then if I want to make sure I'm facing the vessel, I just also align my nose. So now we're moving towards the vessel and we're facing it. I don't know where our optimal grapple point is, and that's probably where we'll really have to make use of some RCS. Let's do another quick save. Better have a lot of RCS, not needed, too little. Yeah, we did pack an RCS container somewhere in here, so we've got, we don't have infinite amounts. We have 120 monopropellant, and this is a fairly heavy ship, so it actually might use a surprising amount of RCS to do it. Let's time warp a little. Sometimes what I do is I burn to go and approach faster, and that tends to spell disaster. Okay, let's say, if I turn RCS on now, the problem is, will I remember what the controls are? I think it's IJKL for like the lateral motion, right? So RCS is on. Yeah, there you go. So now, there you go. I can't remember what the forward and backwards. I want to say like M and N. Yeah, oops, not that. N and something. H and N, thank you. All right, we are still approaching at 0.7 meters per second, which is unbelievably gentle. Unbelievably gentle. And we're just going to go and latch on somewhere. Yeah, I realize that M is mapped pretty fast. Pretty fast. That's where our intersect's going to be. Separation 0.0. Again, isn't what I aim for my initial approach, because if you accidentally AFK for a second, you will crash. Although in this case, we're pretty bang on. I could just try to, again, center. I want the prograde to be right centered on the pink. And our dot, if it's also centered on there, would also be good. There's no SAS happening at all. And I think this just goes and latches on. I don't use this a lot. right? Normally it's all about like 2 docking ports, but we don't have docking ports on this. Steady. Steady. We're not quite aligned. There you go. Okay. Now kiss. Let's turn off the RCS. Turn off the SAS. When 2 become 1. Hopefully we're not blocking the door. I mean, we could always detach and then reattach afterwards. But there we go. Do we get an achievement? World's first milestone? Let's see. First flyby. Oh, some of these are old, but performed a docking maneuver on Duna. Started construction of the first station around Duna. You goddamn right we did. That's interesting that it doesn't show all the crew. I guess maybe, because if this was 2 docking ports, all the crew would show up down here. But I guess because it's not a docking port, it doesn't necessarily. They might not share power and fuel or anything. Probably they don't either. Although, now we can see all the stages. Yeah, can we transfer fuel? Maybe if I go and pin this, and then pin this, it looks like we can. Yeah, I don't see a cross feed on the claw. But let's say we were going to leave the 2 scientists here. So I guess there's the transfer crew. Away maneuver node. Okay, well that was a... Hang on, I'm going to try this again. This is our scientist, actually, so I can just EVA over there, but let me try this again. Transfer crew. Inuk. Transfer to there. Perfect. Okay. Oh, now we have everyone in the same display. All right. So over here, we've got 2 scientists in here, Eastern Spirit and Inuk. And the research is happening. So with 2 researchers in here, and they're both level 3, they are going to crunch the science a lot. So they're producing 12.6 science per day. Now, the more science that is in here, the faster it'll happen. There's a data cap. You can see here, we're at 721 out of 750 science. So we do have more science in here that we want to transfer over. We might not be able to fit everything because there's going to be a size limit, but we should max it out because the more that's in there, the more it'll do. I mean, really, I guess what I should do, I think I will EVA, hang on, let me EVA Enoch here. Because I actually want to grab all the science out of this. Also, apparently there's an EVA report we can grab. Let me do that. Let me board to just dump that. And actually, review this. This is only 8 data bits, so we can fit this in. Perfect. Add it to the lab process. Oh, it's full of data. It's at 721 of 750. Oh, maybe it's counting the amount of science. I don't know, whatever. Just keep. So, let go. No signal doesn't matter for this stage. Actually, you're going to take the data. Take all the data out of this. The amount of science, not size of science. Okay, so the size is the transmit. But the amount of science is for the experiments. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so everything's loaded on here, which is fine. So if we wanted to transfer fuel, we could transfer fuel to this, and it might be able to get home. Like if I said I want these guys to be in, I guess maybe I want to... Oh, it's interesting. It doesn't do that, maybe because it wasn't open at the time. The camera will shift because the camera is centered on the center of mass. So as we move the fuel... Oh, okay. So that is completely full over here. I don't know what that means for us, but I wonder if this capsule could get home. It's not set up for orbital reentry, but I wonder if it could... I have no doubt that it can make it to Kerbin. The question is, would there be any enough Delta V to enter the orbit of Kerbin and then have another ship rendezvous and pick them up? That I'm not entirely sure. Turn on SAS for a second. Although the rotation is fine. In fact, sometimes you want your ships to be rotating because it guarantees that they don't get themselves locked in a position where they don't get sun on their solar panels. Although that is what's happening right this second because we are eclipsed. Oh, it's growing a little bit, which is fine. So yeah, the science is going up 12.66 per day. So let's save this. Yeah, there are mods that add life support as a requirement if you want. Like the need for oxygen, the need for processing carbon dioxide, the need for food and water. There's different levels of it. We used to use the TAC life support, which has like food and water and different things. And then there's another one, is it USI life support? I might be getting these reversed. That like makes things a little bit more generic and you just bring snacks. But I think the TAC one is the one we used to use that was the most realism. And it's cool. The problem is we don't have good values to know how long it's going to take us to get anywhere in this game. So we don't know how much we need to pack, which is sometimes annoying. That's the only problem, is because we don't have a good ability to calculate the length of these missions. Although some people have calculated some of those things. Can an engineer build in space? You can move the butt from the science module to the return ship. That's interesting. Like, grab one of these two fuel tanks. Like, let's say, no, shit, stop. I was holding shift to select things that gave us a speed boost. You know what I'm going to do for safety? I'm going to shut down all of our engines so that I can't possibly. We've done that plenty times before. Luckily, we are still in a safe orbit. Ooh, it is having a hard time arresting the spin. I could turn on the RCS, and it's really having a hard time. I'm going to manual mode here. Oh, the SAS is still on. Oh, hold on. I know there is no signal, but we have a pilot in here. Hold on. Maybe I should do. Control from here. So we have a pilot. Is it slowing? I turn off the engines, yeah, but the engines aren't needed to spin. We have reaction wheels. Oh, we're out of power. We can also stop the spinning whenever we want by going into time warp. But yeah, we ran out of power. I don't have the I didn't have the super big solar panels. Man, we could have gotten a little more EVA. There we go. Oh, no, not quite. There it is. There we go. Now we got power again. So now, okay, now I can steer. So anyway, back to what I was trying to do, which is this. So let's say we yoinked everything into one fuel cell over here. And then we could take this and attach it to there. Huh, I wonder what that's like. Let's do a hard save before we screw things up. It's called quick save too, but that's our hard save. So I think what I have to do is EVA with my engineer, which is Penny here. So if we EVA with you, then we have access to this button. Oh, is there a range? Maybe there's a range. Let go. RCS. Do not hit a solar panel, please. Although I suppose we could repair it. There might be a weight limit, too. Go down here, grab on. Okay. So now if I do this... maybe I can't do these. Is it possible they're just too big? Because these are lit in green to presumably tell me I can change these. I suspect that these are too big and that I can't do it. Yeah, and I don't have a ton of experience. Looks like only small item parts, yeah. But I mean, I can't even move the engine, which I'd have to do first. Nothing else is green other than small parts. So yeah, I think there's probably a size limit involved, and we are exceeding that. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, a bit large to fit in the pockets. We didn't bring the big enough wrench. Or spanner if you're British, right? Spanners are wrenches, I think, right? Okay. Well, so here's the thing. This can just sit in orbit forever. And in fact, the extra solar panels might be quite desirable, and the extra batteries to help us make sure this keeps running, and to be able to transmit a little easier. Although we can transmit this whenever we want. Whenever we want. I have a ton of power. So we got 17 science in here, so I can transmit. There we go. Back down to 0 over here. So what we'll do is we go and do other stuff, and at some point we come back here and we just transmit, and we can process this data in here, shove some more in there, and it'll take a while. It might take years to process all the science that is here, but we're multiplying the science we collected tremendously. So, but I am curious. How about we try to get the shuttle, this pod home? What could possibly go wrong? Okay, we did a hard save. We've filled this up with as much fuel as we can. Oh, except that some idiot accidentally burned the engines for a second. So let's go and yoink some more. There we go. So now these tanks are completely full. Could be stuck in space forever. Yeah, but this is probably stuck in space forever. I don't know if we're ever picking up these two scientists ever. But let's release. Okay. And then they're slightly apart. What we could use is a little bit of RCS or fuel on this one just to get a little bit more distance between the two, which doesn't seem like a bad idea. And tell you what, I'm going to go and activate the RCS. And I'm just going to do this. We're still orbital, barely, but yes. Okay, so they're spreading up a little bit, which is fine. Do this, confirm this is still researching. Perfect, lovely, awesome. All right, let's cycle over. So let's turn these engines on. All right. And what are we looking at? 2200 Delta V. I bet you there's no way we can enter orbit around Kerbin. But maybe if it's high enough orbit, it's fine. We just need something. If it's going to be a fly through the Kerbin system, then it's quite an interesting rendezvous mission. And worst case scenario, Penny and Alarias spend way more time in space than they ever expected. Yeah, Moon Assist might also be a thing, although that's heckin' hard to do manually. We don't have any heat shields. I wonder if there's any chance we could re-enter without having a heat shield. Probably not. I could get our engineer to go and reset our parachutes, but I don't know. I don't think that's needed. Okay, so, well, the other thing we want is we want the ideal time to return back to Kerbin, which is not now. Because Kerbin is in a lower orbit, it's sort of orbiting the sun faster. We kind of want the opposite situation. We don't want Kerbin to be ahead of us. We want it to be behind us. So what we want to do is plan the correct maneuver to go from Duna back to Kerbin. Now, we can use the Kerbal alarm clock, the built-in alarm clock to do it. If I can create an alarm, we can use the... It's a little annoying because you don't see it. You got to scroll down just a little. Planetary transfer window. We can say we want to go from Duna to Kerbin. And it's saying that the best transfer window for that is in year 3, day 14. So it's going to be a while. Sometimes I don't always trust this. And MechJeb arguably might do a better job. I'm not sure. I don't know. It feels like it normally does. So if we were to ask MechJeb to plan a maneuver for us, let's say we want to do a transfer to another planet. And we got to set a target. Kerbin has been set as a target at the next transfer window. So let's say we created a node here. Yeah, I think this would be sooner. This is, okay, it's only 648 meters per second delta V. We'd still have about 1500-ish delta V. I think that puts us, I think we can go orbital with that. And then we're fine. Take off some parts. That's actually a really interesting idea too. Hang on, that's a brilliant idea. Penny, sorry you couldn't like do some other changes, but if you EVA and then we go into engineer mode, well, what don't we need? We don't need a parachute. We don't need landing gear. We don't need ladders. We're just contributing to Kessler syndrome. This is fine, right? Can I, like, attach things to other things over here? Now, I don't think any of this is heavy. I wonder if we can get rid of our science experiments, too. Because that's weight we don't need. This is so funny. I love it. We don't need the antennas, but I think I'm going to leave it. They need to be able to watch their Netflix and their YouTube. They're subscribed to some people, some losers who like playing video games. You know, the Science Junior is heavy. We don't need that. We don't need you. Get rid of this. Get rid of that. Thermometers. That's the one we can't click on. Apparently, no, it won't let me click on that, but okay, let's close this because it looks nicer closed. We'll keep those solar panels. Oh, there's another landing gear. All right. We can get rid of the lights. Can't get rid of the lights. That would be wrong, right? We need the safety lights. Okay, so if I... Oh, there's the opener. If I leave science mode, does this start, like, slightly deviating? Just because of, like, floating point numbers? That looks a little funny. I'm sure this isn't going to come bite us in the butt, right? Fine. Now, I'm very tempted to give my ship the tiniest little shove. Hell, we could do this with an EVA. Just to have a slight deviation compared to these things. I guess I could also clean it up at the Space Center. And yes, I will recalculate the maneuver at that point, because the amount of thrust will be different. Shove! Shove! There we go. That's all we needed. Because we're still gonna be up here for like another year or something like that before our transfer window shows up. There we are. Yeah, you came to the stream to see a ship being built in orbit. Quite the opposite. You showed up to see a ship being disassembled in orbit. We're leaving all that stuff behind. We don't need it. Okay, so yeah, if we were to recalculate, first of all, look at our delta V. We had, oh my god, we shed so much weight. We shed so much weight. We went from 2100 to 2500 and change. I don't remember what the original number was, but we might have added as much as like 20%, probably more like about 15% delta V by shedding all this weight. This is, oh my god, that's so funny. Okay, so if we say, yep, let's go and create a new node. There we go. So the node timing will still be the same, and the delta V change will be exactly the same. But the burn time will be different because it needs to burn less because we are lighter now, which is lovely. Okay. So, Space Debris. There was a, we're watching Jeopardy the other day with Essentia, and there was a category that was like all the answers or the correct responses were going to have silent consonants in them. And for one of them, the correct response is, what is debris? I'm like, but debris doesn't have a silent consonant. There you go. Okay. We couldn't. Why don't we just fast forward now? Although, you know what? We're going to be limited in how fast we can fast forward over here, I think. In orbit, what we probably want to do is set an alarm for our next maneuver. Because I think what we want to do is we want to go to the KSC. Because if the maximum time warp I can go... Whoa, no, I can do 100,000. What? Are there rules? You get all this garbage. Are the rules different when you're around Duna? Because we're not very high up. Because around Kerbin, you're very time limited. Huh. Oh, we did recalculate the maneuver already. Yeah, I think you missed that. So I guess what I should do is just switch to the Psi Orbiter. We can do a time warps from here. Because what we want to do with this bad boy... Well, I'll wait until we're in the sun. Hang on. There's another EVA available here. Board. Okay. There you go, 57 signs. So what we should do is just warp, a couple hundred days. Or maybe not even that much time. How much are we doing per thing? So every 10 days you get 120. I don't know if there's a cap to... Oh, 500 is the cap that it can store. But what we want to do from time to time is just transmit that. Not enough electric charge. Okay, but do I have the... There, allow partial. Although, let's get ourselves maybe a little bit more in the sun. Oh, I think this is using too much power. Although, again, you can time warp and then the numbers get a little bit weird. So there we go. We're time warping faster. Okay, yeah, I think I have to stop researching, which eats tons of power. Right, and some of the panels being blocked. Maybe if we were facing this way, they would be less secluded. Yeah, the power generation's gone up here. Oop, and then down, and then up, and then it's still having trouble with the SAS a little. Again, if I want to kill the rotation, just time warp. Okay. Let this charge up. That's probably enough. Transmit science. That's happening behind here. There you go. Start research. Oh, stop. Oh, I missed the EVA window. That's okay. I guess we are time warping really fast. So we're clearly passing over some sort of biome here. Where's the biome? I want to do another EVA. It's a tiny one. I could tune the mod here to automatically freeze the game when we get to a certain, like when there's some science available. All right. Oh, another one. Nice. EVA, crab, board, lovely. And yeah, we have an alarm set, so we don't have to worry about overshooting, and I mean it's going to be a while. Whee! Whee! How's it going? Need a guide on how to land on the moon. Well, landing on the moon is easy. Oh, you mean landing and not exploding? Yeah, that's maybe a little trickier. Well, probably our next mission in Kerbal, I don't think we're going to do it today, but I think the next stream, we do have a mission to build a base on the moon. So that might be what we move towards here. So look at this. We're just making a bunch of science for free right now. La 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 la. Okay, I still heard some little science pops. If I right-click on this... Okay, I'm going to put this globally on. So now it's going to stop a time warp whenever a science experiment is available. Although it could still sometimes miss the window because it takes a second to de-time warp. Because I hear that bloop, 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 that means we're passing over a biome. We might... I don't think we're completely equatorial, so there's a possibility we're only hitting the biome sometimes. We'll right click on X signs. Yeah, I uninstalled that. Yeah, globally on should do it for here. Then we're going to want to turn that off after because I don't actually want to run that way. $10,000 time warps. I don't remember. Some of our science is probably only about 50. We should really go and send that. Let me stop the science for a second because I'm going to do a transmit. Stop. Transmit. I don't usually like to do it on the dark side over here. Okay, 100%. Good. Come back over here. Let's review. Yeah, 56. So this has got room for this one. So add it to the lab, please. Fully data. Is it adding? Oh, this is 70 data. Wait, how does that work out? So what is this based on? It's not data size. So this is 70. Oh, I'm not doing research. I forgot to turn that off. So when this gets to 680 in the tank, a little more. So 679 actually. All right, there. This should now go in. And notice our science rate is 11.9336. If I add that to the lab, now our science rate has gone up because it's based on the skill of the scientists. So knowing that Eastern Spirit only got to level 2, that is a shame. Because if it was 3, it'd be a lot faster. But I guess Eastern Spirit never landed on Duna, so he didn't get the extra experience. And then, yeah, the rest of it all has to be kept. I don't think there's a way to do this in bulk, so I got to click this like 1,000 billion times. There we go. Okay. Oh, there's an EVA. Although this might be one, we'll have to check next time I do the right click, which I don't want to do now because it'll be annoying. If any of them can't be added, like that thing is grayed out, that means it's safe to transmit because there's already a copy in here. Shoomp, 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 shoomp. What's our alarm clock looking at? Oh yeah, we got ages to go. How's everyone doing? Well, they scienced a lot of beakers. Yeah. Science lab's kind of... The science lab, if we're playing with life support, is a lot more work to maintain. It's kind of cool. But yeah, at this point, this is... But I mean, this is sort of the goal, right? And the science lab, I think also... I don't know if it crunches differently depending on where it's in orbit or something like that. But maybe? And that's the thing. We could be planning other ships at this point. If we were interested, if we had like mods that add maintenance or Kerbal construction time, we could do a lot of that. Oh, hello. EVA report. Keep experiment. Board. Nice. Let's do a stop transmit. There we go. Oop, not that. Start research. Okay, we can probably go back to Kerman because there's going to be a lot of science waiting for us now. I'm kind of interested in the return trip of the other crew. We could start planning for our mission. Okay, out of curiosity, let's see how much science we got and what that does for us. Now the problem might be not having enough money because we have a bunch of science, although certainly not enough to finish the tree. But we can only go so deep in the tree until we upgrade this, and we need 1.7 million for that. So probably the next thing is a few money-making missions, more than any science. Big reaction wheel is always nice. There's our bigger fairing, which actually seems like an excellent idea. Let's unlock that. The precision propulsion might be nice to have. I don't think we need the specialized control right now, although I do like the side-mounted monopropellant tanks. Electronics. Okay, there's our next tier of antenna. That's a 15G antenna, which would solve a lot of issues. And there's some more science experiments and the bigger relay. Okay, we're going to want that for sure. And these are the bigger solar panels, yeah? Yeah, which would have been nice on this mission. We could go and unlock the MechJeb auto ascent, but... And more experiments. Oh, not enough science for that, so we could wait. I'm also curious, in mission control, have you given it... Build a new surface outpost on Duna. Ooh, position satellite in specific orbit of the sun. How much do you pay for this? See, look at this. This is a total of 400 grand for a mission that's easy. Oh, I'm full of missions right now. You know what I think I might do is I'm going to upgrade this because it's not too expensive. I'm going to take that. No, I don't want that one. In fact, I could exit out. It'll go away eventually. In 4 days, it'll go away and recycle, which is fine. Another surface deployed mystery. We want to send us science data from... I mean, we do have a thing parked there. I don't know if it's a goo one. It's not. Okay, let's consider this solar satellite mission. We not... Can I get the preview out of it over here? Still have to dock 2 ships around Kerbin. Must be new unmanned. Oh, is there any chance? Because it's actually fairly flat. Is it just really similar to one we've already got? No, because it's really elliptical. Did we not get a preview? Now, what I could do is toggle off some of these things to clean up the debris, like all this shit. But, here, it's fine. We'll just hide it. If you can't see it, it doesn't exist, right? What's the altitude here? Ooh. Yeah, so the apoapsis of our mission is going to be basically as high orbit as Joule is. I don't know how much delta V we're going to need for this. Yeah, inclination 1.7 degrees, so it's fairly flat. And it's not negative, so that's good for us. But yeah, it doesn't... Is there a toggle for the missions? I mean, everything is on other than planes, flags, and unknown. So I don't know. The right amount of delta V is all of it. Yeah, we're going to want a lot, I think. And it might help for some relay stuff. It'll be weird. We'll see. So let's open up. We've got a SatLift Mark 1. So we're going to call this the Mark II. Now, first of all, and this has 6,300 delta V, so we're going to need more of that. That's going to be the other thing is, for our mission, we do need a goo canister on there. Right? We have the Science Junior. We need a goo. So we'll just go and tuck it in right over here. Can I center it up a little? Center mass? I mean, I could cheat it, but I mean, any clipping is bad, but all right, we can be slightly lopsided. It's fine. I think what we're going to want is we're going to want a little bit more of the orbital stage. Okay, I'm going to go and delete the fairing. That's the fuel tank. So remove the engine. Let's remove this fuel tank, first of all, and replace it with a 400 to add considerably more delta V to that final stage. So that final stage is 3,000 delta V. We're at 7,000 overall, which is probably enough because the massive majority of all this, well, of all this mass is just to get us to orbit. After that, it's fairly cheap. Okay, this initial thrust is already lots. We can add more with just the side boosters and still have lots of thrust to weight ratio for the initial takeoff. Now we're there. I could go with like full on insane asparagus staging. You know what I think I want with this? This doesn't have a reaction wheel, does it? It's got a little bit from the probe itself, but I think I'm going to go and increase it with this bad boy. Also, these were the wrong solar panels. Those are the ones we can put away again afterwards, which I don't want. And I'm actually wondering, I mean, this doesn't need that much power. I was going to say, oh, I can put the Gigantors on this, but it's really not necessary. What I might do is I might go and mount like 3 of these. Because with only 2, if the sun happens to be directly aligned on the side, both of them won't do anything. But with 3, that's not an issue. Oh yes, upgrade the antenna. Now that might change the size. But I agree. Yeah, weirdly, this is the boon. Okay. Where's the... Is this the fairing? That's the fairing. Oh, I was gonna... I'm betting the structs are causing issues here. Hold on a sec. It's complaining about something. There you go. Now you're fine. It was a little too small. You know, it tells us the mass, but it doesn't tell us the radius. That would actually be really handy. Okay. So, that added mass. I think what I'm going to do is this. We do have nuclear engines, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to go and make our initial ascent stage even crazier. Now, what we need to do... These have got to go down there. What's this engine? That's in the middle. No, we need all these to launch at the same time. Okay, all 5 of those to launch. But then... this stage goes first. So this one here has to be asparagus thusly. There we go. So this one here pumps into that, which then pumps into the middle. Good, good, good. Then we drop this first, then we drop those, then we drop those. 8,000 Delta V. I mean, if this doesn't do it, nothing will. Nothing. And they all got strutted up there. Really, I'd prefer the decoupler at the top, because the decoupler does give it a little bit of a boost, and what can happen with the decoupler at the bottom is sometimes they do this and then sort of fly into the thing. I'm sure that won't happen, right? Let's assume. Might be a little tricky. Should we do that? Sure. And do this. So all 5 engines light, and then we drop the supports, and then stage 1, stage 2. The fairing will probably manually deploy. All right, this seems good. 8K, damn, I don't think the Duna mission had this one. No, but it's possible we get a follow-up mission to adjust our orbit. Sometimes there's that, so we really want a crazy amount to spare. And this is cheap enough. But yeah, I think it's possible 6,000 would be enough, because again, we'll use about 4,000-ish to get into orbit around Kerbin, and maybe 1,000 to depart, and then some adjustments, but ain't no kill like overkill. I mean, I actually think you have total lifetime in Kerbin. It's hard to tell, because I have 600 and change on Steam, but when I started from CCAN, I launched it standalone, so it doesn't count Steam time. Like right now, my time on Steam isn't increasing. I suspect I probably have double that at least, so at least 1.2k hours, but it's hard to know. Okay, let's go. We got the Mystery Goo, got a Science Junior. Let's do it. Hey, Binary Cat's Eye. We've got a mission to launch a ship in orbit of the sun. I guess the one thing is this is a money-making mission, and by over-designing the ship, I'm going to be making less profit, but that's okay. Did we unlock the Ascent module? No, I didn't do that, because that would be appropriate, because again, it's a probe core, so having this computerized is fine. But what I'll do is I'll do the surface mode like this, and we'll just adjust it this way. Instead of using WASD, we'll interact with things Launching at night. Oh no, we're supposed to be in orbit of the sun. How did we get to the sun at night? Okay, pointing straight up. Throttle full. Burn, release. And I'm not too worried about going a little steeper than normal because we are looking to do, like we're not looking to just barely get to orbit. We're okay with overshooting a little because we're going at an escape velocity at some point, but we want to escape velocity at the right flight time, and really the lowest periapsis would be better. Okay, so I'm kind of changing my own opinion here. That's gravity turn about 10 degrees. Looking good. And its first stage is going to go fast. Now, maybe I want to gravity turn more just so that I don't bomb Space Center. Get ready for first stage, first asparagus stage. Is it going to go and hit our cells? No, we're good. All right, excellent. Oh, I think they might have collided with each other. We are bombing the Space Center just a little bit, but that's fine. Okay, let's continue gravity turning. Our time to apoapsis is climbing quite quickly, which is a little early for that at this point. Drop, drop, drop. And yeah, sometimes I look at about 45 degrees by the time I get to 15K. So we're higher than that. So this is a steeper ascent, which again is fine. Apoapsis is still climbing very quickly. All right. Keep pitching down. 30K. When do you guys drop your fairings? Well, hopefully we don't get too much heat. I'm not going to dip any lower. Apoapsis is nearly at we are going to space levels. There you go, 40K. The atmosphere's got to be thin, but because we are getting some little heat trails here, I don't want to go and drop my fairing quite yet, just in case something weird happens. Okay, I'm going to cut the speed since 100K apoapsis. I really don't want to push any higher than that. Mm-hmm. That's a very personal question. When do you guys drop your fairings? Onlyfairings.com, right? Do. Well, the pitch, none of this actually matters. It's all groovy. Okay, well, we definitely can deploy this. Goodbye. Because we're almost at space already. The air is pretty thin. I'm just trying to avoid this. Yeah, let's get out the maneuver planner for this. We're going to do fairly computerized. We're going to get ready to do a circularization. And then we'll figure out what's what. All right, we are in space. Huzzah! So at the next apoapsis, create and execute circularization maneuver. Maybe I really should go. It's going to bite me in the behind at some point. Auto deploy solar panels. Although I don't think it'll... Oh, Day's deploying them now. All right. I don't know if it auto retracts them on entrance to an atmosphere is the only concern. I think we do have... I don't know if we have an extra battery on this. No, we don't actually. So we have very little electric charge, which could be annoying right at the time. Although it's about to recharge here because this engine does have power. And stage. It's insane. We made it all the way to space with those boosters. Ridiculous. Yeah, and these can't be retracted, so it doesn't actually matter for the atmospheric stuff, but solar panels aren't even doing anything for us right now. There's nothing to deploy with the antenna, so that's fine. All right, circular. Now I'm hoping do we have to be orbiting the sun to see the satellite contract? Oh yeah, I guess I could have used the utility auto stage. Sometimes it does weird things. I don't know. We can't actually focus on the sun. You can't actually set a focus on the thing you're orbiting. Or apparently the parent... Oh, wait, hold on. Double click on... That's interesting. So I couldn't click on it, but I could double click on it. Hey, there it is! Cheers, thanks. Okay. So we're not planning any sort of rendezvous whatsoever. We just want to, at this point, I mean, obviously a slingshot would be great, but all we want to do is we want to depart from Kerbin with a boost. So we want to depart from this angle. We want to break orbit heading to the left because that will represent a boost relative to the sun, raising our orbit, which is what we're looking for. I don't think we'll get high enough to get where we're going. And I think it's often like somewhere around here to break in the angle that I want. There's not a, I don't think there's a maneuver planner for just break orbit in the direction. Maybe there is, I don't know. But I think what we want to do with this, ooh, it's a little tricky. Come on, let me, nope. Damn it, I gotta redo this. But I want to delay this a little. Guess I could have zoomed in more to see it, but let's try around here. Burn. There was a little bit of a lunar counter there, but I don't think it was one that was helping us. Okay, and there we go. So we're breaking orbit in basically the direction, and it's raising it a little. Not that much. We'll do the adjustments afterwards. So you can just, we didn't use the maneuver planner, but I can still hit execute next node. It's going to use half the delta V in the current stage to do this, which is fine. Nice if you could set a target orbit, it could just execute. I mean, there might be. There's certainly that ability for setting a target orbit around wherever the heck we are now. That's always an option. It's going to time warp for 24 minutes. No probe control. Oh, we're probably out of power. It's always a problem when you are planning a maneuver in an eclipse zone. Maybe I should have packed a little battery pack on this. Again, it's going to be fine as soon as we're not so close to Kerbin. And I suppose if I was worried, I could have pushed myself into the higher orbit just for the purpose of minimizing the eclipse angle. Oh, it's having to do a second time warp here. Is the maneuver node drifting? Probably as Kerbin changes? I don't know. In any case, we're there. Node in about 20 seconds. We're going to do the burn in about 2 seconds now. There it is. Nice. Bright blue. Beautiful. I mean, okay, not the most beautiful of ships ever made, but it's going to get the job done. You can use return from planet for break orbit. Really? There's return. Oh. We could count ourselves as the moon? Like, there's not a return from planet, but there's a return from a moon. If we can treat this as a moon, I guess that would sort of work. That's neat. Well, we'll try that next time we want to do something like this. Because I'm curious. Although, approximate final periapsis... I guess we would just type in the periapsis we're targeting for the quest of like, that's in kilometers, so 19,000 kilometers we could have done. Okay, but if we go and let's do... Oh, I think it hit a science experiment. Sure, tell you what, I'll grab this material study. And we're not going to get full science, but that's fine. I'm going to transmit it anyway. Get her done. Oh, it doesn't have enough charge. Whatever. You know what? It's fine. I'm going to go right-click over here and do that. So I don't have any individual experiments set to stop time warp, so that won't happen anymore. Close this window. So the time warp time is going to shrink down here, down to 50 as we do a transfer. 1,000, 100, and 50, and any second now it should do the escape. There we go. Experiment reminder again, but oh, it's the mystery group, but let's not worry. Okay, so now all we would be doing right now, if we want to do this manually, is we would just burn prograde to embiggen our orbit around the sun until the yellow marker matches somewhere. And then wherever we match the yellow orbit, then we do a burn there to expand the rest or whatever, or ideally, you know, line up the periapsis and all kinds of stuff like that. Let's see what happens if I go in here and say, I want to change both the periapsis and apoapsis. So the periapsis is going to be 19,700 kilometers. And the apoapsis is going to be 68,369 kilometers. So if I told you to create a node, oh, these are billions of meters. Ha ha ha. Okay, so 19 million kilometers and 19 million kilometers, or 68 million kilometers. Okay. Create node. Oh, still want the periapsis. Yeah, so you know what might be the easiest way to do it is wait until we're lined up with our target periapsis here, do the burn to raise the apoapsis, and then bring it back down. Or honestly, at this point, so again, the whole thing of like, oh, it's more efficient to burn at the apoapsis or periapsis, depending on what you're doing, is only true in terms of affecting the opposite side of the orbit. Here we don't have an opposite side of the orbit. Let's just start growing now. It's going to be fine. So may have a signal. Off. Turn prograde. You got power. What's going on here? I'm probably still time warping. That's never happened before. Yeah, I thought the target was for 68 million meters, but it was 68 billion meters. I was doing the conversion from meters to kilometers perfectly fine. All right, let's go. So, I mean, we're not going to be aligned properly, but that's okay. Yeah, I guess it still might be more convenient just to align things, because otherwise we're gonna have to do more burns in more awkward ways. We'll get there because it's gonna turn out to be exactly the same. We're not getting any kind of a gravity assist boost or anything like that, but I can just do it with 2 burns this way. Ultimately, I think it's gonna be the same amount of delta V because we're adding the exact same amount of energy into the orbit. But this is gonna push the apoapsis away from where we are, which will be more convenient. And then we'll just go to the apoapsis and rate the periapsis. And we're getting ready to stage. Here we go. Burn, baby, burn. You have to do the inclination. Yeah, the inclination's pretty small, and you'd want to do the inclination change with the biggest possible orbit. It's cheaper. The inclination changes are cheapest at the bigger orbit. And honestly, it's a really small inclination. We might not have to do an adjustment unless we happen to be in a really out of whack one, but from our ascent. But assuming our ascent was relatively decent, we might not have to do an inclination change because it's got a fairly big buffer around it. So this is going to start moving faster and faster and faster here. The realism overhaul player, 8K Delta V being a huge amount make me laugh. Yeah, I know. Yeah. We have dabbled with the realism overhaul. Yeah, things are very different. But and it's about the fuel and the engines being so much more complicated. You know what I think I should do, actually, is rather than being lined up at this periapsis, I think I want to be a little further, because if I do a retrograde burn here, I'm going to push the apoapsis more over this way. Honestly, maybe even a little further than that. I'm not sure. It's not feeling like the fastest. Of the time warps. You can go to 100K. Why aren't you going to 100K? Why isn't it going to 100K time warp? Maybe it's not far enough? You know, we're still 1 year away for a return maneuver. Although this is burning a lot of time, we can go and check up on Duna and probably do another big science transmit after we're done this. There we go. Okay, so Prograde again. Great. So now we're going to be pushing our apoapsis kind of a little bit more this way because it's the opposite end of our orbit, right? So sort of here. So it's going to shove it over a little bit. And we want to make sure that our blue line doesn't exceed the yellow line at any point. So we're going to stop here. And this place is more or less perfect. I mean, we could go a little bit more, but I kind of want to leave myself a bit of a buffer for things. So now we're going to want to go here, and then it'll push out that part. Now will you do 100,000? Yeah, okay. I think it just wasn't far enough away. Is it no probe control just because we're time warping? Hang on, if I cancel the time warp. Yeah, okay, I think that is it. Okay, good. This is going to be pretty far away, but we do have a much larger antenna. There's a year time warp. Wow. All right. You know what? Actually, that's great because it'll arrange this maneuver. But let's take a minute here. Let's focus. Yeah, that is a really long-term mission. Shit. I guess we can launch some other shit along the way. Science orbiter. Quick save. Always quick save before you change vehicles. I bet you we can do a big science transmit over here. Yeah, oh, it's actually capped. Good. Okay. So we'll stop the research. Transmit our existing site. Oh. You don't have a signal? Is Mars too far away? Duna, sorry. I think Duna might be a little too far away right now. Oh, yeah. Look at this. We're at opposite sides of the sun. So it's out of transmit range. And I think we needed tons of money to upgrade the base station, right? Actually, what's funny is this satellite here is a relay antenna. If it were still over here, I could have done the transmit. I can check. Maybe... I don't remember. Maybe I didn't check. I guess, no, hold on. The 1.6 was the science center. Oh, this is fully upgraded, the tracking station. And we can go and recover that. That's fine. And recover that. That's fine. Yeah, I guess there's nothing to do with the weight. Drop another relay. Yeah, what we could do... The problem is, okay, in this situation... The problem is really just that the antenna in our science thing just isn't powerful enough to get over here. Adding extra satellites around here won't help. Adding more around the sun might help if it's in position in between these two. But that's about it. And honestly, the Kerbal Space Center is more powerful. The thing that would be the most significant assist would literally just be build a relay antenna and send it to Duna. So that the science ship can just relay to that one, and then that antenna can do the real work to send it over here. And we could put it in a polar orbit around Duna. Hopefully we just get a mission. In fact, we might even have one. There's technically Lagrange points, I think, are... Actually, I'm not sure they're possible in Kerbal Space Program. No, because it doesn't do multi-body physics. I think a Lagrange point isn't actually possible. When do these refresh? Yeah, relay over Mercury would be basically the same as a relay relatively close to the sun. It would have the same most closest effect. But yeah, if we went and built, let's say I open up our this Satlift Mark II, which honestly, especially since we're about to make it much lighter, well, actually, I don't know how heavy the antennas are. But like, we yoink. Oh, right, that's the actual control point, so... We yoink this, we yoink that. We do this. And what I'm actually thinking is we yoink that part off. And then we put some sort of like girder. And we like quadruple these up. Because these are combinable. So this, and I don't know how powerful these things need to be. But, you know, some amount like that. Oh, that did kill a lot. These things are heavy. Like maybe we just go with a couple. Because this is 30k strength. And the Delta V charts do include calculations. The ones that people have made do include calculations for how much antenna strength you need for this. Battery pack's probably a good idea too. Not that we're going to be using this to transmit, but it's going to give us a bigger buffer for all kinds of nonsense. Like, I don't think I need the 1K one. But let's say we did this, which is already... We're going from 10 to 210. That's a pretty big change and just will help us in the situations we're going to get eclipsed. I don't know if I can flare this out any more than this. Oh, I literally cannot flare it out more than this. I mean, maybe that's fine, but it does look stupid. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to use the move tool. And just do one of those. There. Maybe like that. Yeah, clipping parts invites the Kraken. There you go. 7,200 meters per second delta V should be able to get us to Duna, although we'd still want a transfer window probably. We got solar panels. They're there. They're not huge. They're not the gigantors. But this, I don't think, this isn't going to be being actively used, so I think it's probably fine. Solar panels. No, they won't hit the dishes. We're all good. I mean, I don't know. Is there a passive, like, power consumption rating on these dishes? See, when transmitting needs electric charge, I don't think it uses anything else, and I don't think relaying counts. I don't think that's simulated. So yeah, really, this would be a nice relay antenna around Duna. Probably. Out of curiosity. How much science did I have left over? Because I think... Specialized control... Which has... Oh, that's... Oh, it's here that's got the ascent. Yeah, we don't have enough. Although, again, there's plenty of it sitting around Duna right now. We just can't do anything with it. That maneuver is not for a while now. Yeah, so I guess this latest Sat 2. Yeah, apparently they're combinable, which I didn't realize for a long time. Yeah, we'll throw this in orbit and then figure out when the next window is. That is a pretty big top. That's not going to be great for the RMX, but I'm sure it's fine, right? What could possibly go wrong? Full throttle. Staging still okay. That is loud! So loud! Looks like a virus, you're right! Some sort of phage. What happened to our... I'm wondering if this was a problem with our last launch too. Here, let's do the connection up over here. I think we might have lost a bunch of Delta V from that or something. I don't know. That's crazy. Yeah, the structural support got in the way of my fuel lines. I forgot to hit this first, so a little bit of a shimmy in the wrong way. That's fine. That's exactly what we're hoping for, right? Oh, and I didn't turn on symmetry for it, so we're still missing a fuel line. Kerbal. See what happens when you distract me, Kerbal. Come on. Okay, symmetry is on. Now they're there. Look how much more Delta V we got. I think we were at 71, and then like 74 in a bit, and now 78 in a bit. Something like that. Okay, and let's also not forget to hit execute on this. This time for sure! Right? Oh, good. Getting ready for gravity turn. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I just thought of this launch as uppies. We're giving our rocket uppies. Oh, did I not get enough sleep last night? I'm feeling loopy as heck. And stage. Oh. All right. So I'm being, again, fairly gentle on the gravity turn, going steeper than I often would, just to minimize the chance of some weird issues. Staying mostly prograde, especially with like how big our fairing is. I'm really worried about air resistance causing the rocket to suddenly like pitch over like crazy. We've got 3 engines doing gimbaling, which is pretty good. We have fairly small fins, although they certainly help with the stability. Okay. We have passed through the thickest parts of the air. I'm going to go fully horizontal here. Still in a controlled way. Okay, let's zero that out. Oh, we already are over apoapsis. Deploy. Like, go. And let's stop here. Okay. Yeah, so I keep saying exactly that. Having a higher orbit's not too bad, but really we would like theoretically a lower orbit just to get like a better sort of grav-assist late departure, but it doesn't really matter the same way. And space and solar panels auto deploy. Nice. And oh yeah, we'll use the flight computer for this again. So I would like you to circularize me at the next apoapsis, create and execute. So yeah, this should have a turbo strong signal and some extra battery power. 210 instead of just 10. Especially with all these night launches I keep doing. Why does feeding fuel into another tank provide more fuel as a bug? So, to answer you, Lorcan, it's not creating more fuel. It's creating more delta V. So, the best explanation for it is, let's say you launch a normal rocket, and it goes up to, I don't know, 10,000 kilometers. And let's say you make a copy of that rocket, and you have 2 rockets exactly next to each other, and you launch them side by side, they would both reach 10,000 kilometers, right? Makes sense? Now, what happens when you take those 2 rockets and glue them together? It's exactly the same situation. They're just going to get up to 10,000 kilometers, and that's it. Nothing has changed. Whether there's 2 separate rockets launching side by side, or if you make them kiss and wrap some duct tape around them, it makes no difference. You're doubling the thrust, but doubling the weight. So they still just go to 10 kilometers. But the crazy thing happens if you only light one of the rockets. So you've got these 2 rockets glued together. You only light one of them. Well, that one's not going to go very high because it's carrying double the weight, but only has like, you know, the half the thrust kind of thing. So you might only get to like 1 kilometer up. But then if you ditch that empty one and light the second one, that one is going to make it not just to 11,000 kilometers because it's 1 kilometer up off the ground, but it's moving as well. So it's got a kickstart. So it's going to go quite a lot higher, 20, 30, 40. It's great. But the craziest things happens if you have the same situation, 2 glued together, and you attach a fuel line from one to another. And then you can light both engines at the same time. It's fine. They're both burning. And at some point, so they're both burning, but both engines are burning from one fuel tank. Because what it sort of happens, like the engines are burning off their respective fuel tanks, but one is always pumping to the other. So you get to one point where both engines have been burning this whole time, but only one tank has been completely emptied. So you ditch the empty tank, losing that extra weight, and what you have is a rocket that is some distance up in the air and already moving with a certain amount of velocity, but has a completely full tank of gas. And that gets you even further than before. There's no magic, there's no bugs. It's literally the way it works. Now, this whole fuel tank transfer thing is only used in very limited ways in real life. The space shuttle, though, did launch with a big old gas tank strapped to its belly. Now, that gas tank didn't have its own rocket attached to it, but it still had the idea of we're going to funnel all the fuel from this, and then when that's empty, we're going to drop it, sparing us all this weight, and then the main shuttle still has all the fuel it's supposed to have for whatever flight it's got. Plus, it's also using SRBs for the initial kickoff, but, you know, which doesn't contribute to the magic, but it still works. Anyway, this guy here, your job is to transfer. There's also the advanced transfer, which does some fun math. The transfer to another planet uses pre-programmed transfer windows, whereas the advanced transfer will do some math to figure things out. Which one is more accurate? Depends on a lot of different factors. But you get this cool pork chop window, and you're figuring things out, and whatever. So our goal here is this. It's going to be create a node. This is going to be 366 days. And I think in Kerbal, a year is exactly 300 days. So this transfer window is still more than a year away. I'm going to go and set an alarm for this one. Boom. There's a maneuver doing in 5 minutes. No, that's a manual time alarm. Where's the other? I don't have active vessel only. Well, now I'm really confused. Oh, I just created a manual alarm now. Okay, I forgot to go here and say maneuver and do that. It's kind of amazing. No, it makes perfect sense. The return window from Duna and the transfer window to Duna, so to and from Duna transfer windows, are both basically going to be exactly the same. Oh, 426 Kerbin days for one Kerbin year. 426 6-hour days. Okay. I'm assuming. Okay, I can switch to. Ooh, I should have quick saved first. Always quick save before switching vehicles. Okay, so that is that one. Hang on. Can I rename these? Return from Duna. Apply changes. This is sat to Duna. Apply changes. And then we're going to wrap up our live stream in a second and go and raid a Kiss for Luck here. You over here. Oh, quick save. Switch to. I guess I never planned the maneuver for you. Oh, maybe the naming's reversed. I don't know, whatever. Oh, I wonder if because it was a null maneuver. Like, had I clicked this but not actually done anything? I don't know. Apoapsis matches. Actually, if I just adjust when this burn happens... No, go away. I do a little bit later. I'm betting this is close enough. Perry might need a little more. Okay, no, I do think we have to do the burn a little later. There you go, like here, and then do that. I bet you this will complete the mission. Let's try this again. From Duna, set to Duna. No, I think maybe those were fine. Create alarm. Maneuver. This is solar sat mission. Add an alarm. Okay, so those are all pretty far away. Does it have an inclination? There is a slight inclination, and again, you just correct the inclination. You want to be in your biggest possible orbit first, and then fix the inclination. But it's fairly flat. You can see there's like a little bit of distance there. Like I know it's a little hard to see. There's a bit of a distance. This might be close enough because you do have a good margin for error on these satellite missions. You don't even have to be like, we're super close in our orbit. I didn't have to be anywhere near this close to complete it. So the inclination might be fine. So probably it's okay. So we're going to save here. Our next live stream on Wednesday. On Wednesday, we're going to be playing a little cute game that I've been excited to try called Little Problems. It'll be our third sort of cozy game that we play in a little bit. Will be nice. I don't know what Saturday is going to be yet, but I can see maybe doing Kerbal Moon Days for the next little while. Monday, Kerbal. Wednesday, I don't know. This week it's going to be cozy stuff. This Saturday, question mark. I still want to find completing Tiny Bookshop would also be excellent, so we might do some of that. But yeah, we're gonna go and raid a Kiss Fluck. Give her some love. She's playing Hotel Architect, which apparently she's obsessed about, and probably it's also a game I should be playing. We'll add it to the queue. Thanks a lot for coming out, everyone. I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye bye. Any plans for Silksong? So I have never played Hollow Knight. In fact, I had to ask people very recently this week. So what the fuck is Hollow Knight? And they said, oh, it's kind of like a side view platformer, like roguelike, or not roguelike, Souls-like kind of game. Now, I'm not very good at those sorts of things because my hands are stupid. But it also would be really funny, I think, for people to watch me attempt to play this. So that might be entertaining. Should I start with Hollow Knight first? I heard Silksong is insanely hard. Like the difficulty is like ramped up. It's like for people who have mastered Hollow Knight. But it might be for funsies to see. Yeah, Metroidvania with some Souls-like kind of stuff. Yeah. So anyway, give a Kiss for Luck some love. Wednesday is definitely going to be Little Problems. Maybe on the Discord, people can vote for games and suggest games. Maybe people will vote to see me embarrass myself with some variant of Hollow Knight. We'll see. Bye-bye, everyone.